On this episode of Locked On Angels, a 3-game sweep against the Astros leaves John and I asking this question. What has this team taught us about this team this season? We're going to share our thoughts in our final segment today. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with John and I and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use our promo code LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5.
Happy Monday to you, and thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, we're coming up on our third season ending here at Locked On Angels. Of course, we'll be here through the offseason, talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday with you. On today's show, we're going to recap that weekend series, ask the important questions that have come out of that weekend series. First, I just want to let everybody know, we've been talking about it day after day, the O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl. Right now, if you go to our Instagram page, there's a post there. And if you want to enter to win a ticket, just follow the instructions on the post. It's on our Instagram at Super Halo Bros. Want to make sure everybody is aware of that. A lot of entries already, so put in your entries and cross your fingers. And if you don't win, we still have the discount code as well that we'll tell you about later on in the show. But Mike, let's get into this weekend recap. Again, asking some important questions coming out of this weekend series as the Angels lose 5-3 on Friday.
Yeah, the only win for you guys this weekend might just be that you actually win a trip to the O'Hoppe Bowl.
Yeah,
the Angels did not win. They lost on Friday. John, game started with José Altuve singling down the left field line. He tried to stretch it into a double. Taylor Ward threw him out at second base. Then top two, after two singles and a walk by Aldegheri, he walked José Altuve with the bases loaded. Then Yordan Alvarez hit a sacrifice fly. It made it 2-0 Astros. There's some news that came out about Aldegheri, and we'll get into that at the end of this segment. Top three, Tucker's back, and he just kills us, right? So he singled, and then Alex Bregman hit a 2-run home run. And then after a double and a walk, Aldegheri was pulled. Johnny, just 2 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned, and 5 walks. Now, here's the tension that we found out later, that he's got blisters, and he is now completely removed from the starting rotation, and they are replacing him with some guy named José Suarez. And I would love to get your responses on that. Let's go through the game first, Johnny, but then we'll talk about a couple of notes from this game. But the Angels did get back into the game in the bottom of the third, didn't they?
Yeah, Neto had an RBI ground out. Shawnuel had an RBI single that made it 4-2 Halos. So you start to think, hey, they got a chance to get back into this one. Angels got closer in the bottom of the fourth. Mickey Moniak hit his 14th home run, tied his season high from last year. This is only the 5th home run that Yusei Kikuchi has allowed to a lefty, Mike. And so that was pretty great to see Mickey Moniak get that home run off of a lefty. It was his second career home run in 123 career plate appearances versus left-handed pitchers for Moniak. So does that prove that he needs to be in there every day? Can he handle the left-handed pitching?
Yeah. Let him play every day. He's got to be in there. I know that they had some questions about who's going to play, where he's going to play, because is he the 4th outfielder? Is that Adele? Who is it going to be? And I know next year there'll be questions about that. But, John, the more at-bats this guy gets, the more that he shows that when he's in there consistently, he's going to come through consistently. And I think he's got to learn how to hit against lefties. And he, I think, is at least developing there. And so more opportunities is only going to help him to get better.
We should have seen it a lot more this season.
Yeah.
Because it's that development season that you and I have been talking about. Should be getting a lot more opportunities against lefties. Didn't get a lot of them this season. Now I'm concerned if he's even going to be able to finish out the season, considering what happened to him on Sunday. We'll talk about that, of course. It was scoreless from that point onward until the 9th, when the Astros added an extra run. Yordan Alvarez hits a home run. Surprise, surprise.
Right.
Angels weren't able to do anything in the 9th inning. Now, I did want to know, O'Hoppe did pinch hit for Theis, and he struck out. And, there was a moment in that Twins series where we were wondering why O'Hoppe didn't pinch hit in a big spot. And I thought it was his propensity for striking out in those big moments. And that's kind of what happened on Friday night, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's what he did. And again, what Wash has said about these young guys is that they find themselves really tight in those moments. And O'Hoppe's got to learn how to come through in those moments. And so when we're bowling with him, we're going to talk to him about that. Second note, actually, we're not going to bring that up at all. Second note is the José Suarez note, John. After this game, he had pitched 7 shutout innings since returning. He went 4 in this game, had 5 hits, 5 Ks. Then we got word that he is going to be the one that's taking Aldegheri's spot in the rotation. Wash said that Suarez has a presence now, has great demeanor now. Now he's coming with intent. And then he said, I wish that he would have done it from the beginning, but he's got it now, John. José Suarez got it now. So everything's great, right? And he, again, Wash didn't have this sarcastic tone like I have, but he said, I appreciate the way he's going about his business, and I look forward to giving him the ball when his day comes. John, why isn't it Clausen? How come it's not? How come it's not George Clausen, who almost pitched a perfect game the other night if it wasn't for the umpire who was behind the plate?
Right. Yeah. In Double-A, you're referring to. Why even have a 6-man rotation, Mike? Why do we need a 6-man rotation at all at this point, considering the fact that the reason why they went to 6 guys is so that they could have Aldegheri and Dana in this rotation. And now they got Carson Fulmer back. So if you need, long relief there, you have it. It just doesn't make any sense to me to have José Suarez part of this rotation. I even said on the show a couple of days ago after he came back to the Angels, I said he doesn't need to be part of this rotation. Right. He doesn't need to be a factor in that. He threw, 50 some odd pitches to just get through the few innings he did, not in this Houston series, but the series before where he came back to the Angels. So all that to say, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he's back in this rotation. Good on him for coming up and pitching 7 shutout innings and getting that fastball up to 95. I was actually going to make a joke about this with you, but now that he's confirmed to be back in the rotation, there's no jokes to be made here anymore. And so it just really disappoints me. As far as Clausen goes, look, I think you're seeing why somebody like Clausen just needed to finish up the season in the minor leagues. And look, we had no idea that things were going to shake out the way that they have. Now, the Trash Panda season is done.
Yep.
Obviously, Christian Moore was able to come back from his knee injury. He's been DHing, hasn't played the field yet. I wouldn't be surprised now if they try to get him up with the big league club at some point. And maybe there is a spot for Clausen. So it just it comes down to there's been so many random injuries for this team. Teodosio, Aldegheri's got the blister now, so he's done for the season. And then we saw Mickey Moniak get hit on the hand, still waiting on news as of this recording. He's got a contusion. We don't know if that's going to keep him out of the lineup or not. So all that to say, I think that there could be an opportunity for Clausen to come up, but at this point, I think that we just need to remain patient with those really good arms that the Angels have. And I think that when we talk about Dana in Game 3 in Segment 3, we can kind of get into that conversation as well, because we are finding out who these guys are and what they have and getting some answers for what next season could look like. Speaking of which, Ryan Zefferjon got into this game. He's got a 1.74 ERA in 10 1/3 innings for the Halos. He was part of that 3-player trade with Luis Garcia of the Red Sox. Garcia's on the IL with Boston, and he's had a 10.32 ERA.
That sucks.
Since the trade. So talk about a win there for the Angels. We were kind of hoping we'd see more of those kinds of trades, considering all of the 1-year expiring deals they had out of the bullpen. Well, they certainly didn't take advantage of that, or couldn't take advantage of that, considering, Matt Moore's not been great this season. I think Hunter Strickland would have been a great trade candidate.
Right.
Didn't you and I suggest, hey, if you made that trade with Boston, with Luis Garcia, couldn't you have pushed a little bit further and maybe thrown in a Hunter Strickland and gotten a few more pieces back and that sort of thing? So I guess it really depends on the needs of the Red Sox. But yeah, Mike, I it's frustrating to note that José Suarez is going to be back in this rotation that we have to watch a few more starts, but it will all be mercifully over in less than 2 weeks. We will be mercifully put this season behind us and be able to think about what the offseason starts to look like. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels are playing the White Sox tonight at 6:38 Pacific time. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up, Tyler Anderson got honest about his start on Saturday. Wash shared the role that Anderson plays on this team. And then there was a plate blocking issue that doesn't really make sense to anyone. We'll get into all of that coming right up.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, including me, John. I did something on Prize Picks this week that they encourage you to do. I took Caleb Williams, and I said he's going to get more than 1 yard. And before this recording, I turned off the Bears game, and guess what? He had more than 1 yard. So that is a win for me, John. It's so simple. Prize Picks gives that to you. All you need to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you'll watch the winnings roll in. So I am now a millionaire. I just want you to know because I used Prize Picks. So you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You only have 2 more weeks now with that Caleb Williams deal, because there's the 22nd next Sunday and then the 29th. This is a 5 Sunday month, and then it's gone. So take advantage of that. Plus, you'll need to pick up to 6 more players, 2 to 6 more players to get a victory on Prize Picks. Don't miss out on this deal. And when you download Prize Picks today, you can use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and then you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. So you're up $45 already. You don't even need to win. So you could be up $45 and maybe just walk away if you wanted to. So download Prize Picks, use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and receive that $50. Don't even need to win. It's guaranteed when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and every dayers you're invited to join us for the Logan O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl, hosted by none other than Logan O'Hoppe. It's a fundraiser to raise money for Corey's Promise. It's a nonprofit organization that helps walk alongside families whose children are dealing with pediatric cancer. They help offset the financial burden that families endure that comes along with the battle against pediatric cancer. And if you're interested in joining us, there is a link in the episode description, and you can get your ticket there. The ticket's for Saturday, October 5th at Cow Bowl in Lakewood from 1 to 4 p.m. We're bowling together, supporting a great cause. Logan's going to be there. His teammates are going to be there. They're going to bowl with us and against us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, grab your tickets by going to the link in the episode description. When you check out, use our promo code BROS, BROS, at checkout to get $50 off your ticket. And if you want to win a ticket, head on over to our Instagram and find the post, and you can enter to try to win a ticket to the O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl. We're super excited about this event. We can't wait to see you, our everydayers, there and hang out with our fellow Angel fans.
John, Saturday's game was a repeat of Friday's game, at least score-wise. The Angels lost 5-3. It came down to a bases-loaded situation in the bottom of the 8th. Logan O'Hoppe was up at the plate. This time he did come through, so maybe if it's the bottom of the 8th, he's okay. Bottom of the 9th, it's a little bit difficult, right? So he came through. Taylor Ward scored on his RBI single. Nolan Shawnuel followed, but was thrown out at the plate. Now that run would have tied the game, but the Halos, they weren't able to tie the game, and then they ended up not scoring. They ended up giving another run, and that's why they lost 5-3. So Wash challenged that play, and the reason is he said, I thought that the catcher blocked the plate, and then he said, I don't know what the rule is, the blocking the plate rule, but Shawnuel certainly didn't have a direct route to the plate. That's for sure. I think it was a good challenge, but again, it was kind of ambiguous as to how they define that, and it really feels like it's up to how emotionally they're feeling that night, right?
The way the umpire is feeling. Are they in a good mood or a bad mood that night? You know, did they have a good dinner or is it not sitting well? You know, that sort of thing, because that's how umpiring works. But Mike, usually the way people describe the rule is that if the throw brings you into the path of the base runner, then you're not blocking the plate. What I saw was Carantini kind of snagged that ball in front of the plate and positioned himself in such a way that, Nolan couldn't slide into the plate. And then there was even kind of a moment where he missed the tag and he tried to get back to the plate And so Carantini had to put the tag on him once again. It just doesn't make any sense. I thought it was a great challenge. It was certainly worth challenging, especially in that 8th inning. One thing that kind of goes unnoticed here, so Bryce Teodosio's on the IL with a finger fracture, but before he went on the IL, he pinch ran in this. And so he was pinch running for, I want to say, Cavadas. And so in that moment, Teodosio kind of forced Nolan home because Teodosio was running to third base.
Yeah.
So Nolan didn't really have a choice but to go. And at the same time, I think this whole plate blocking thing is just silly. There's never been a defined yes or no or a clear answer. And it's not just us, as Angel fans complaining about it. You see this constantly from other games and on social media. You see, blocking the plate, blocking the runner's path. It's that sort of stuff. It's like, you can't challenge a check swing. You can't challenge this. You can challenge that, but you can't do this. But you could challenge a foul ball down the line. But unless it's, a Tuesday in March or whatever, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And so that's the one thing about these NFL rules is they're so ambiguous sometimes that I just think it's so silly. I felt like there was definitely some blocking of the plate, and whether that's intended or not isn't really the case here. What is the case here is, did it happen? Did Nolan have a path? And I don't believe the ball took Carantini into the path of Nolan Shawnerwell.
Did you say NFL rules intentionally, or did you mean MLB rules?
Oh, I think I accidentally said NFL rules.
Because what's funny about that, ironically, is that it does make sense because the NFL has a lot of like ambiguous terms. Was it a catch? If I get the ball over here, or if I'm catching in the end zone, then I have to get 2 feet down and I have to keep it all the way down, right? Like, but if it's just me running to the end zone, if I get the tip of the ball over, right, and that's what that catch rule feels like.
What was it? The first game? Was it the Bills or no? It was the Ravens. It was Baltimore. The tip of the toe was out of the end zone at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I think I'm just ready for football. I know football season is here, but we are paying attention to what's going on with the Halos. I'm just ready to move on. I'm ready for some football. So maybe that's why I said NFL. But Mike, that's the other thing too, is MLB tries to be the NFL and they fail spectacularly. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of interpretation that needs to take place in the NFL. But they've been doing replay for years. And with MLB, it's been about 10 years of replay or so. Maybe 12 years, I think, at this point, but they are leagues behind, pun intended, behind the NFL.
Am I oversimplifying it? If the rule is obviously if the throw pulls you into the runner, then that makes sense. But is it just a matter of saying to the catcher, like, you can set up to the left or the right of the baseline and you cannot move in front of the base. And then when the ball comes to you, you can't put your body in front. And that's what happened. I mean, it seems simple to me, like set up to the left of the baseline, you can set out in front of the plate, and then when the ball comes to you, you just swipe down to the left, or if you want to catch it right-handed, you swipe down to the right. It seems simple, but all of this nuance and detail in these moments are what gets so frustrating, because it's like, well, technically there was this, and then this happened, and then that took place, and then nope, New York says no.
And it's up to the interpretation of the umpires who couldn't care less, I should say, about an Angels Astros game,
right?
On a Saturday night when football's on TV. So anyway, Tyler Anderson pitched in this game. He went 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks. Mike, more of the same from Tyler Anderson lately, right?
Yeah, he was very vocal, John, after the game about his performance. He said, "I did some stupid things. Sometimes you do smart things, and sometimes you do stupid things." And so you can hear a little bit of frustration. Now, Wash said something that I would love to get your thoughts on. He said it wasn't Tyler Anderson's night. That's not the Tyler Anderson that we've been seeing. I don't know who you've been watching, but you're talking about maybe Tyler Anderson from the beginning of the year, Wash, because that's the Tyler Anderson we've been seeing lately. He says it happens when you get to this point of the season, but he did mention that Anderson's role on the team is to help the other players learn how to get through it when they're struggling. John, that's not why we kept him, right?
We've danced around this topic, and we've circled the drain on this topic, to be honest with you. Is why couldn't Anderson be moved at the trade deadline? And one of the things was, hey, everybody sees what nerd John and Mike with a podcast see, and that's Tyler Anderson's underlying numbers are not very promising,
right?
Considering he's I don't want to say lucky, but according to his fielding independent pitching, he puts himself in situations that are unfavorable to any starting pitcher. And he's been doing that since the deadline, it feels like, Mike.
Yeah.
And so everybody sees what we see. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's a matter of not being able to move him. I feel like there was plenty of opportunity out there to move him. We've made the case a million times that, some teams took risks on guys that we were like, that's a bit odd considering, I bring it up again. Alex Cobb hasn't thrown a pitch in a year and a half,
He was traded. Yep.
But he was traded and they went for it. And so I guess for me, it's a matter of, this is who Tyler Anderson is.
Yeah.
And even though he's had so much success this year, the numbers always catch up with you. It's inevitable. That's what's going to happen. I don't mind what Wash said about him being a veteran guy for the young guys, especially with the kinds of arms that we have on the team right now with Soriano and Dana and Aldegheri and all those young guys. I don't mind that he said that. I just don't know if that's something that means that that's why they kept him around. I think that's more Angels PR, like everything's great in Halo Land. Even when we lose, everything's great. And that's just the frustrating part. What was great was Eric Wagaman getting his first career hit in this game. What a weekend for Eric Wagaman, playing third, and he's not played very much third in his career at all. So
he held
it down just fine, and ended up, this weekend hitting a series of doubles. And in fact, his first major league hit was an RBI double off Justin Verlander. He's had more than 2,000 plate appearances in the minors before getting his first MLB hit. Sounds like they're trying to get Verlander to sign that ball for him. He's a little embarrassed about that, but cool to see Wagaman have such a great weekend. And like you said, held down third base. Maybe there's something there. This is what this time of the year is for, right? You want to see guys like Eric Wagaman, don't you?
Yeah, I want to see him see what he can do. I think maybe him learning how to play third base is great because we obviously don't know what we have there. John, here's what's so funny. I had some friends that went to Saturday's game, and so they saw me the next day, and we were talking about it, and they said, "Hey, went to the game last night." They got me a shirt. Really grateful for that.
Oh, nice.
And then they said, I said, "Well, I'm sorry because I knew that they didn't win." He goes, "But it was close." And I said, "You are slowly becoming an Angel fan."
Yeah,
but it was close,
but
right?
Was
because
close.
that's how we treat the end of the year. Is like, well, they didn't get blown out. They almost won, right? And I was like, be careful, because once you cross that line, there's no going back.
There's no going back at all. And that's what this time of year is right now. I mean, coming into a series against the Astros, you'd hope that you would take at least one, and they had opportunities to do that night.
Yeah.
But it's what separates good teams from bad teams. These guys don't know how to deliver yet. And I think that that's key. And then, when you've got guys giving away the game in the beginning of the game, that's not helpful either. They're always playing from a deficit, so that's not helpful either. We said it wasn't going to be easy. We said it was going to be ugly, and that's certainly how the rest of the season is shaping up at this point of the year.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by FanDuel. They're America's #1 sportsbook, and they got a little something different for you now through September 22nd, so just a week. You have a week to get this. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Listen, with all of the TV contracts and negotiations with Disney and DirecTV and all that stuff, people couldn't watch Monday Night Football because of that. Like, this is a great deal, and your friends at FanDuel, they want to hook you up. So if you get it this week, you'll get 3 free weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket, and FanDuel wants to support you in that. So allow them to do that. This is great because then you'll get a YouTube TV base plan. You can watch regular season out-of-market Sunday afternoon games. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook.
A disappointing Sunday for Caden Dana, his second disappointing start in a row. The Angels lost 6-4 on Sunday. Made it interesting at the end in the 9th inning, but again, it was a too little too late kind of situation, which feels like that's something we're used to with this team. But Caden Dana, 3 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Mike, what have we learned? What are we learning in these 2 starts where Caden Dana has struggled.
He's getting hit hard, John, and he's getting hit hard because he's throwing in the zone, but he's throwing in the zone to the meaty parts of the zone. And then his secondary pitches are just not they're not good enough to distract the hitter, right? Like he's got a great fastball, but then his secondary pitch isn't causing them to go, oh man, that's a really good change, or that's a really good curve. They're just waiting for the fastball. So when they see it, they're jumping on that fastball. And so you see a lot of contact. You see a lot of hard hits off of Caden Dana. And the last 2 starts, there's been a lot of that. He's been relying a lot on his fastball. And again, his fastball is great. His secondary stuff isn't bad, but when he's throwing the fastball, he's throwing it in the zone, and the hitters are swinging away. They're taking advantage of that. They're not waiting for anything else, or they're sitting on that fastball, especially when he gets behind in the count. That's why the 2 walks are something that we need to pay attention to, because when he gets behind, he's trying to get back with the fastball, and Major League Baseball players are figuring out when he's throwing it, and they're crushing him.
I saw a lot of comments about like, well, they should have kept Dana down. They should have kept him in the minor leagues. And I disagree with that, because this is exactly what you want out of the last month of the season. Imagine Dana finishes his season with the Trash Pandas, comes into spring training, looks great, but he goes through these same kind of struggles at the major league level, because these guys are major league hitters. I mean, it's tough to take on a lineup with Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker. And so I think you need a stretch of time where you challenge your young guys who are dominating the minor leagues and are throwing the most innings they've ever thrown. I think you need a stretch of time where you run them out there against the Astros. I thought the Mariners game was a good test for him, and he cruised through that game. But then you consider, well, Mariners offense been pretty abysmal this year, so maybe that's why he had some good luck. He struggled against Texas, couldn't locate in that one, and then this past weekend, really just not being deceptive or locating the pitches where he wants them to go at all. And this is all with the purpose of saying he's 20 years old. He's had a great AA season. And now you have some caution, or maybe some pause about, well, is he really going to be in this rotation next year? Is that something we should do? And that's what this last month is for. That's what I think is good about these struggles. Is it time, or does he need more seasoning in the minor leagues? What were you going to say?
I think that what's happening right now, based off of what he said after the game, I think that what's happening right now is he's feeling out what it means to be a major league pitcher, because after the game, he said, oh, they haven't seen my best stuff yet. And so there's this confidence. Samuel Aldegheri, when he got rocked, he was like, oh, I know what to fix. Kohanowitz, oh, I know how to adjust, right? There's this confidence that comes from these young pitchers. And Caden Dana was like, oh, they haven't seen my best stuff yet. So I think maybe he's kind of rolling this out, and perhaps even the Angels are kind of rolling him out more spring training style rather than this is the regular season. And I wonder if there might be some like, hey, we want you to work on this and work on that. It's a really tough lineup, right? And that doesn't mean that they don't go out there and try to get him out and try to win. But I wonder if there is the game plan isn't, you got to get Altuve with this pitch, and the game plan might be, hey, we want you to throw your fastball and really get a feel for it and work on your mechanics for that. And then we want you to throw your change and get a, second inning, throw that a lot. And then if you get behind, throw your fastball again. This is not to excuse Caden Dana, but based off of just that one comment, it makes me think that maybe the game plan isn't like, hey, go out there and be a major league pitcher. It's go out there and figure out how to do that. And then spring training, you can develop. And then we keep you on the major league roster and you're a part of the rotation.
Are they smart enough to do that, Mike?
Well, Barry Enright is not a dumb guy.
Sure.
Barry Enright has done a great job with developing these guys and helping them. I know the stats don't necessarily show that. I'm with you, though, because that's a fair question to ask. And I want to say, I don't know, because I'm not going to say yes, even though my heart wants to say yes.
That's more of a question about the entire organization. It's like, do they have the foresight to even consider what you just put forth? And I believe it to some extent. And if Dana says that, then perhaps that's true. But we all know that they've gone through, cycle after cycle, doing the same things over and over again. What's one thing, now that this season is sort of winding down, What's one thing that this team has taught you this year?
John, they haven't adjusted from doing the same thing that they've done before. There's anomalies, Aldegheri and Clausen and Caden Dana. There's some anomalies out there that maybe give us hope that maybe they're going to do things differently. But putting José Suarez back into this rotation, I know it's just a couple of weeks left. They're probably just trying to get innings. I get it. They don't want to damage any other arms. I understand that. Yeah. But I don't think that they're smart enough to think outside the box. It just feels like they've created a box for themselves, and that box hasn't changed for the last couple of years. And they keep talking about the same box when in, like just the fact that Wash said, oh, now Suarez has it. Or now he's got confidence. Now, right? When the games the points are made up and the games don't matter. Now he's super confident. I could be confident when I go out there and pitch. And I don't pitch. I'm not an athlete. But I would be confident because I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter. Try to hit my 75-mile-an-hour fastball. And that's dreaming if I could even get it that fast, right? Like, so that's what's so frustrating about this team is that they kind of hit rinse and repeat on a lot of things. I know they've gone young. I know that there's talking points about the young pitching staff. There's talking points about drafting in the minor leagues. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But it just feels like there's still a lot of rinse and repeat with this team, and that's what I've learned from them this year.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And to kind of piggyback off of that is the narrative is always changing. The narrative when we come in is, they're going to be competitive. We're going to run the West down.
Run the West down.
Then suddenly it's, it's a lot of these guys' first season. It's a development year. And don't get me wrong, you and I have said that a million times.
Yeah.
But we also said that from day one. We didn't say, oh, they're going to be competitive and run the West down. We were excited for Ron Washington to be their manager. It fired us up. But, we said from the very beginning, 500 at best. Mm-hmm. And they're far below 500 at best. And I hate how the narrative changes. Now Tyler Anderson is a good veteran guy for the young guys. That might be true. But you didn't keep him around to be a good veteran guy for the young guys. José Suarez now has it, and he's confident. That might be true, but you just DFA'd him back in June. And so, and you were worried someone was going to snatch him up. Nobody did, and that's why he's still with you, and now he's back. And you're right. So just to kind of piggyback off your rinse and repeat thing, I just get tired of the goalposts changing, the narrative shifting, all of that stuff. I trust Ron Washington and Barry Enright and those guys to do a great job. And I think they have done a great job. That's no shade on them. But when you zoom out, they are the ones kind of like Ron Washington is kind of perpetuating the moving of the goalposts. Now the narrative is this and now the narrative is that. I think it's silly. I do think that there's hope on the horizon with a lot of these young arms. I think it's fantastic. I don't think it's wrong to say that Tyler Anderson is a great veteran presence. At the same time, it's just, can we stop changing the story, please? Because that gets old, that gets tiring. And as a fan, I'm ready to move on from that.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB. It's a great podcast with our friend Sully. He's going to get you ready for the playoffs. He's going to take you through the playoffs. He'll talk about all the teams and everybody that is being successful, so that he's not going to talk about the Angels. That's what that means. But he will talk about all the great teams. You can follow him on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and he's a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show, get in the comment section on YouTube. Super helpful to us. And if even if you're just an audio guy, subscribe and follow the channel, because that really helps us out. Mike, what do we have on deck for Tuesday's show?
Well, the Major League roster may not be great, but the minor league got some great news. The Angels minor leagues got some great news last week, specifically about their pitching, John. Mm-hmm. And we're going to share that news with you and react to it tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that conversation. We hope you'll come back and join us for Tuesday's show. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday. Did you see Elliot Ramos, right-handed hitter, into McCovey Cove?
Yes.
Let's go.